everyone, my name is Vlad Cafinescu, and welcome to my course, Getting Started with Microsoft Teams and Office 365 Groups Administration. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Office Apps and Services from Montreal, Canada. Microsoft Teams has taken the productivity world by storm. In its first 2 years, it has already reached over 20 million daily active users across more than 500,000 organizations across the globe. As more organizations start to use Teams, it's important for Office 365 admins to know how to properly configure and administer Microsoft Teams in their environment. In this course, we're going to learn how to configure and manage Microsoft Teams and Office 365 groups. Some of the major topics that we'll cover include Microsoft Teams and Office 365 groups architecture, the basic of Teams and groups administration, planning and configuring Teams settings, and managing Teams and Office 365 groups external sharing. By the end of this course, you'll know the different tools you have available to manage Office 365 groups and Microsoft Teams and how to use them to have full control of your environment. Before beginning this course, you should be familiar with the basics of Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, and OneDrive for Business from an end-user point of view, as well as be familiar with PowerShell. From here, you should feel comfortable diving into other Office 365 administration topics with courses such as Configuring and Managing SharePoint Online, Configuring and Managing OneDrive for Business, Configuring and Managing Microsoft 365 Workload Integrations, and Configuring Governance and Compliance for Microsoft Teams and Office 365 groups. I hope you'll join me on this journey to learn how to manage Microsoft Teams and Office 365 groups with the Getting Started with Microsoft Teams and Office 365 Groups Administration course at Pluralsight. Hello and welcome to the Getting Started with Microsoft Teams and Office 365 Groups Administration course. My name is Vlad Cafinescu, and I will be your instructor for this course. I am an Office Apps and Services Microsoft MVP from Montreal, Canada, and you can find me on Twitter at Vlad Cafinescu or follow my blog at vladtalkstech.com. In this first module, we'll talk about Microsoft Teams and Office 365 Groups architecture. We will first start with an introduction to Office 365 Groups, covering what they are and also some interesting facts on how they can be different from one another. After that, we'll dive a bit deeper into Office 365 Group architecture, understand where each part of Office 365 Groups is stored and where it must be configured. We will then do an introduction to Microsoft Teams, and finally, we'll look at the Microsoft Teams architecture. By the end of this module, you'll understand the underlying layer of Office 365 Groups and Microsoft Teams, and then we'll be able to move into more fun, in-depth administration topics, knowing that we have a solid foundation. Let's start by understanding what Office 365 Groups really are. Office 365 Groups are the foundational membership service that drives all teamwork across Microsoft 365. With Office 365 Groups, you can give a group of people access to a collection of collaboration resources for those people to share. Those resources can include a shared Outlook inbox, a shared calendar, a SharePoint site, a planner plan, a Power BI workspace, a Yammer feed, a Microsoft Teams theme, and even more. Why I'm saying can include rather than simply include is because depending on where you create a group from, the services included are different, but we will get to that in just a few seconds. Before we go further, let's take a look at why did Microsoft create Office 365 groups in the first place, and why they are an important part of today's Office 365 toolbox. The truth is really that not that long time ago, in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, SharePoint was the synonym of collaboration. As soon as somebody mentioned collaboration needs, SharePoint was the go-to tool we used, and SharePoint was really the single location for file, list, discussions, communities, tasks, videos, business intelligence, and everything. It was really the Swiss Army knife of collaboration, and everything could be done with a single tool. However, even if it could do all of it, it wasn't really specialized in anything outside document management. So in the past few years, Microsoft has created a bunch of different specialized tools and services for different types of collaboration. SharePoint is still there, of course, for document management, but now for tasks we have Planner and Todo. For videos we have Microsoft Stream. For communities and discussions we have Yammer. For instant messaging we have Teams. For business intelligence we have Power BI. For surveys we have Microsoft Forms. So really we have specialized tools depending on what kind of collaboration you want to do and what is the outcome you're trying to achieve. So that's good that we have multiple specialized tools in Office 365. However, if those tools aren't working together, it can be tough for end users to create a good, user-friendly, and connected digital workplace experience. This is where Office 365 groups come in. As a user, you simply create an Office 365 group, and all of the tools you need for your team, project, committee, or whatever collaboration group you're setting up will be there. Now, where can we create Office 365 groups from? You can create Office 365 groups from almost any application included, such as SharePoint with a new theme site option, from Planner with a new plan option, as well as from Yammer, Outlook, Teams, and Microsoft Stream. One of the tough things about all of those options is the fact that not all users are super technical, so sometimes they do not understand all of the things they actually create when they click on, let's say, New Plan in Planner. They might think they're only creating a new Planner plan, however, they're creating all of those tools that go with a group. You also have different resources provision based on where the group is created from. So let's take a look at that. If a group gets created from SharePoint, Outlook, or Stream, it will create a SharePoint site, a shared mailbox, a shared calendar, a Stream video portal, a Power BI workspace, as well as a OneNote notebook and a Microsoft Forms workspace. It will not automatically create a Microsoft Teams theme, but that can be added after, as well as the Planner plan. Not created automatically, but can be added afterwards. And it will not create the Yammer feed, and that cannot be added to a group created from SharePoint, Outlook, or Stream. Now if you create it from Planner, it's almost the same thing, but the Planner plan will be automatically created. And again, it does not add a Microsoft Teams theme, but that can be added after, and you cannot have a Yammer feed. Next up, creating it from Microsoft Teams will have the same core elements, but it will have the Microsoft Teams theme automatically provisioned, but the Planner plan is not automatically created, but can be added after, and there is no Yammer fee. Lastly, creating from Yammer is really the one that's a lot different as it only creates a SharePoint site, Stream Video Portal, Power BI Workspace, OneNote Notebook, Microsoft Forms Workspace, and the Yammer feed, and it does not create a planner plan, but that can be added after. And those groups, so those types of Office 365 groups created from Yammer cannot have a Microsoft Teams theme, a shared mailbox, or a shared calendar. So that was a lot of information, but now if I put it all together in a slide, sort of like a cheat sheet of forms, you have this slide over here where you see everything that's created automatically, as well as things that can be added afterwards. So first of all, if we created from SharePoint, Outlook, or Microsoft Stream, we really have those core elements of the SharePoint site, shared mailbox in the calendar, OneNote notebook, Power BI workspace, Stream portal, and Forms workspace, with the ability to add a Microsoft Teams theme or a Planner plan. If you create it from Planner, you have that Planner plan built in, as well as you can add the Microsoft Teams theme. And if you create it from Teams, you have the Teams theme created automatically, and you can manually add the Planner plan afterwards. Now I'm going to create a line and I'm going to add Yammer underneath because it's really the one that's a bit more different. With Yammer, there are a few things that we can absolutely not have, which are the Microsoft Teams theme, the shared mailbox and calendar. Those ones we cannot have at all. The planner plan, we do not have it automatically, but it can be added afterwards down the road. So if you ever need to take a screenshot, kind of save it as a cheat sheet, this slide would kind of give you everything in a single view. To make things a little bit easier, Microsoft has actually did some light renaming announcements in early 2020, not really from a technical point of view because they're both Office 365 groups. However, when you talk to users or even to technical people, when we talk about creating an Office 365 group, we're talking about groups created from SharePoint, Planner, Outlook, Stream, or Teams. Those groups don't have the same services provision on creation, but they can have the same services if they're added manually afterwards. Yammer on the other side is really different because if you created it with Yammer, you cannot add a bunch of things. So Microsoft has renamed them to Office 365 Connected Yammer Communities. So those are the groups created from Yammer. They're more limited in terms of what services can be added to the group, but really important that from a management point of view for us admins, there's still Office 365 groups. So all of the membership management, all of the PowerShell commandlets, they're all the same, but we're just going to name them slightly different to make sure that you understand right away if it's an Office 365 group created from SharePoint, Planner, Outlook, Stream, or Teams, or if it's an Office 365 connected Yammer community. And this way, when you talk to users, they're not going to get confused on why on this one has a Microsoft team attached, but this one they created from Yammer, it cannot have a team attached. Another thing part of Office 365 groups are connectors. Office 365 connectors for groups allow you to bring real-time information and content into your Office 365 groups based on events happening in third-party services. Those third-party services range from Bing, Twitter, Trello, and a lot more. So really you can set up in a way like an RSS feed that will keep you up to date in the group on when changes happen in those services. And the connectors you add to the group are then available in all of the applications part of that Office 365 group. So in this example over here that you see on the screen, you see I got a notification that a card was moved from the board Vlad in the board video editing from the list Vlad approved to the list Vlad submitted. And also I can have that same kind of notification inside Microsoft Teams, and I even have some quick actions that I can do from Teams that will actually bring it to Trello. Now that we have seen the theory of Office 365 groups, let's go do a quick overview of them in the lab environment. So I am now in the lab environment. Let me go to the Office 365 portal and let's go take a look at a group that I have already created. So I'll go into more groups at the bottom, and let's use the Global Mantic Space System Refresh as an example. This Office 365 group is a unified place where I can go, where I have email conversations. I also have a SharePoint site assigned to it, so everybody that is part of the group has access to the SharePoint site. We also have a planner plan, so if I go in Planner, I'll go to the Global Mantic Space System Refresh plan, and we can all collaborate on different tasks together. The really important thing with Office 365 Group is that it's a shared membership. So everybody that is part of the Office 365 Group automatically has access to all of the resources part of the Office 365 Group, and they can all collaborate together. From an end user point of view, it's a lot easier to know that you simply create a group and all of the different collaboration tools that you need in Office 365 are there. Another part of the Office 365 group, about which we will talk about in just a few minutes in this module, is Microsoft Teams. With most Office 365 groups, you can have Microsoft Teams, which allows for instant collaboration as well as unify all of the things in the Office 365 group. So for example, if I go in the Files tab over here, what I'm actually seeing are the files in SharePoint. So let me actually go into General. Let me say here is the deliverable for phase 1. Let me go and just go into downloads here. Let me upload a PowerPoint document, which should only take a few seconds to actually upload. And now if I go back in the browser on the SharePoint site under Documents, I will see a folder for the General tab, and I will see the file that I just uploaded. From the team, I can also see, for example, the planner plan for that Office 365 group. So I can add a task for here. Let me add a new task. Let's call it Get Requirements. Click on Add, and then if I go in Planner over here, I see it over here. I can view the Get Requirements, tasks, and everything. So really an Office 365 group is a single artifact that allows users to collaborate across multiple Office 365 applications with a shared membership. So providing an easier way for people to collaborate in an integrated way. So that was the quick overview. Now let's go back to the slides and learn more about Office 365 Group's architecture. Now that we know what Office 365 Groups are, let's take a look at the architecture in the back. At a high level, we can split Office 365 Groups into three main parts: the identity and membership, the Office 365 group settings, and finally the applications. The identity and membership as well as group settings are both stored in Azure Active Directory, while each application has their own settings and content stored in that specific application. Now let's go a bit deeper into the group membership and settings, which, like I mentioned before, are stored in Azure Active Directory. There are three membership roles in Office 365 groups. First of all, owners. Group owners can add or remove members and have unique permissions like the ability to delete conversations from the shared inbox or change different settings about the group. Group owners can rename the group, update the description and picture, and more. We then have members. Members can access everything in the group, but cannot change group settings or things like that. And then we have guests. Group guests are members who are from outside the organization. By default, group members can invite guests to join your group. However, you can control that setting, and of course, we'll cover it later in this course. Now let's talk about settings. What kind of settings can we have in Azure AD for groups? Example of group settings can include external sharing, expiration policies, naming conventions, and a lot more settings that we'll cover in this course. Now, what about application membership? Most of the applications part of an Office 365 group use only that group membership for permission. So for example, you cannot add a user to Microsoft Teams without adding them to the Office 365 group beforehand. So the group membership is the same membership for the planner planning that group, the Teams team in that group, and so on. There is an exception to that rule, which is SharePoint. Since with SharePoint you can add extra users only to the SharePoint site that's part of the group, without users having access to the rest of applications in that group. Really important that you can only add extra users, you cannot limit access to group members. Also, what about application-specific settings? The settings for applications part of the Office 365 group are still managed at the application level. So for example, if you wanted to have a mail tip for the mailbox of the group, you would do that in Exchange Online. If you wanted to change the SharePoint Online storage quota for the site, it would be in the SharePoint Online Admin Center. If you wanted to change the policy about users being able to delete messages inside Teams, it would have to be in the Teams Admin Center. So even if the group is together, there's still application level settings that you can configure in the applications themselves. Now that we have covered the architecture for Office 365 Group, let's talk about Microsoft Teams, starting with an introduction to what Microsoft Teams is. Microsoft Teams is a unified communication and collaboration platform that combines persistent workplace chat, video, meetings, file storage, and application integration. The service is really integrated in Office 365, and you can also integrate it with even non-Microsoft products. Microsoft Teams is a competitor to services such as Slack and is the evolution and upgrade path from Microsoft Skype for Business. Microsoft Teams is really positioned as the center of collaboration in the Microsoft stack and offers multiple features and integrations such as persistent chat, either in a team or in a one-to-one or one-to-many format, meetings, calling, as well as the ability for you to create custom apps and workflows. So what do we have in the Microsoft Teams user interface? First of all, the activity on the top left, that feed will show you all of the notifications and everything that's happened lately in the channels you follow. We then have the chat icon, which is really for one-to-one and one-to-many chats. If you click on the Teams icon, you will see all of the teams you're currently a member of, and we also have the calendar option, which shows you the same calendar as in Outlook with bidirectional sync, so you can fully interact with your Outlook calendar from Microsoft Teams. We then have the calls tab where you can view your call history, dial numbers, and listen to your voicemails. And last but not least, we have the Files tab, which is the quick access to show you all files across your Teams and quick access to your OneDrive. In this course, and in general with Teams, there are two artifacts that we'll use a lot, teams and channels. A team is a collection of people, conversations, files, and tools all in a single place. Teams can be public or private depending on the requirements of the team. Teams are made up of channels, which are really where the conversations you have with your teammates take place. Each channel is dedicated to a specific topic, department, or project, for example. Channels as well can be public or private. If we look at an example of what we have in this screenshot, I have all of the teams that I'm a member of, and each one of those teams can have one or many channels where the discussion is taking place. If we dive a bit deeper into channels, there are three types of channels. The first one is the general channel, which is the default channel that comes with every single theme. You cannot remove, rename, or hide the general channel. It's really always there. Next up we have standard channels. Standard channels are channels that are open for all of the members of that team, and anything that is posted is searchable by others, and they can of course reply to them. As a team owner, you can decide if a standard channel is shown by default to everyone or not, but even if you set a default option, individual users can hide it out of their default view or favorite it even if it was hidden. The last one and the newest one is private channels. Private channels are for discussions that shouldn't be open to all of the members of that team, so only open to a subset of people within the team. Only users that have been added to the private channel can see its contents and participate inside. To easily see them in the user interface, first of all, the general channel is always the first one, and it will always be there in every single team. We then have standard channels, such as the milestone channel in this case, and they don't stand out from a UI point of view, they look all standard. Lastly, private channels. Private channels have a lock near them, as the stakeholder channel has in this example, and this is really for a subset of people in the team, so you can only see this channel if you have been added as a member to it. Now let's talk about the other perks that you will find in Microsoft Teams. At the top of every channel, you will have the Files tab, in which you will see all of the files that have been uploaded in that channel. You can view and edit documents directly from the Microsoft Teams user interface. We also have a wiki that comes built in with every Microsoft theme that you can use to store any information in a wiki format. And we also have tabs, which is a more open topic. Tabs allow you to integrate other applications as tabs at the part of the theme. Examples can include Planner, a SharePoint site, a third-party website, or even third-party applications. Tabs are the way to centralize information in Microsoft Teams, so even if it's hosted elsewhere, users can access this data from inside Teams. If we look at it in the user interface, at the top of every channel, you'll always see the files and the wiki, and those are at the channel level. So in the general channel and the milestone channel, they will be there, but clicking them will not show you the same information. Lastly, you have the tabs, and in this case I don't have any, but you can add tabs to the channel and it will show up similar as the files and wiki are shown, so really integrates nicely with the rest of the team. There are a ton of tabs that you can add, from Microsoft 365 applications to third-party applications or applications that you have built in-house. Now that we have done the introduction to Microsoft Teams, let's talk about Microsoft Teams architecture. From an architecture point of view, Microsoft Teams is really a front end for a bunch of other Office 365 services, and most content is actually stored in other parts of the Office 365 group. The membership is also defined by the Office 365 group, so you really cannot add a member to a team without adding them to the Office 365 group. So let's take a look at where content is stored through this screenshot from Teams. First of all, the group chats are stored inside Azure and then copied inside of the group mailbox in Exchange Online. All of the files that are uploaded inside of a team, as well as the wiki, are stored inside SharePoint Online, And all of the group settings, for example, visibility, sensitivity labels, and so on, come from the Office 365 group, so they are stored in Azure Active Directory. Now to go a bit deeper inside file storage, each standard channel or public channel inside a team gets a folder inside of the shared documents library inside the attached SharePoint Online site. As for the private channels, you can see the little mark by the stakeholders on the channel name in the Teams picture. They actually get a dedicated site collection, so really taking privacy to the next level with a dedicated site collection that has the same permissions as the private channel. Now let's talk about chats, either one-to-one or one-to-many chats. The chats from those are stored inside of the user's mailboxes, not the group mailbox, but really the user mailboxes, while the files sent in chats are stored inside of the sending user's OneDrive for Business. Finally, let's talk about meetings. The Teams meetings sent in a channel are stored inside of the group calendar in Exchange Online, and if you record a meeting inside Teams, it will be automatically saved in Microsoft Stream. So why is knowing where content is stored actually important? While a lot of users and admin thinks that everything is stored inside of Teams and controlled by the Teams service, that is not true. Knowing where content is stored, even if manipulated inside Teams, allows you to understand where you need to apply settings and configurations as an administrator. For example, do you want to create a retention policy for Microsoft Teams? For chat files, it's easy for the Teams Admin Center. But if you also want to apply it for the files shared in Teams, you need to configure it inside of SharePoint. Need to share a meeting recording for users that were not there or invited to the initial meeting? You cannot configure this inside the Teams Admin Center or the Teams interface. Everything is in Stream because that's where the video is located. So really, knowing where content is inside of the team will allow you to know where you have to make certain setting configurations in order to get the desired result. Now that we have covered the basics, let's finish off this module. Something that is very important to remember out of this module is really that Teams cannot function without Office 365 groups, and that is why in this course we'll really cover both of them together. In my personal experience from consulting, speaking at conferences, and with clients, there is a lot of confusion for administrators on where settings need to be changed for a certain outcome. A lot of administrators want to change the behavior inside Teams, since that is often the front end that users are using. But so many team settings such as naming conventions, block words, external sharing are done at the group level, not inside Teams. And that's why understanding where settings need to be done is crucial. Also, while in this course we'll cover Teams and Office 365 groups, it's always good to understand the other applications inside Office 365 groups such as SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, Stream, Yammer, and so on. And there are multiple courses on Pluralsight that teach you how to administer those. You can quickly find them by just searching on Pluralsight or going to my author page. So I'm just sharing this so you know that if we ever talk about doing a configuration in SharePoint, but we don't go deep enough into it, it's because that content is already covered in other courses. So we're really going to focus on Office 365 groups and Teams inside of this course. Now let's recap everything what we have learned in this module. Office 365 groups are a group of Office 365 collaboration resources with a shared membership. And depending on where you create a group from, different applications will be provisioned for you. From an architecture point of view, for Office 365 groups, everything is stored inside Azure Active Directory, but also each application having their application-specific settings and of course storage in their own admin centers. Lastly, we have done an introduction to Microsoft Teams and did an overview of Microsoft Teams architecture. Microsoft Teams allows you not only to have instant messaging with your team or select people, but also to consume content from across Office 365 in a single location. Teams is a really popular tool, and a lot of users use Teams as their front door to their digital workplace. That's where they open up in the morning, and with the different tabs and extensions, they access everything they need to access inside Office 365. As an administrator, it's important to know where the actual content is stored. This way you know where you need to apply different settings to reach your desired outcome for your end user's experience. This is it for this module on architecture. And now that we have the foundation, in the next module, we'll look at all of the different tools we can use to manage Office 365 groups as well as Microsoft Teams.